I could not be happier that Deuce McBride is thriving. I love this guy so much. He's been one of my favorite players in the league for a long time. I loved him in college, and he's finally getting his chance. And this he is like blowing expectations out of the water. He's been fantastic. Has had some high scoring games, and people knew he was a great defender already. And just kind of didn't have a spot in that Knicks rotation. But his defense has always been really strong. But the shot making has been phenomenal as well, and he was a really good pull-up shooting prospect, and that is kind of materializing in the NBA right now, especially as of late. You can't really go under screens against him because he is just going to pull. His release is super high and quick, and he can get it over contests. And despite not being super tall, his wingspan is really good, which helps that release too. He can hit these little step backs off of the catch when defenses rotate. He's not just a stationary shooter, right? He can shoot pull-ups, shoot off the move. Here we have him isolating against a switch, right? Step back, ends up getting blocked there. There is some kind of limitation, I think, to his shooting with the height, of course, and like the release does like cock back a little bit, which can lead to issues, but generally this hasn't been a problem for Deuce. Obviously his shooting has been phenomenal. Beautiful crossover, and when he can get to the mid-range, I really love this pacing here. His pacing as a driver is really nice, where he kind of sets this screen up before quickly exploding, getting low on that cross, pulling at the elbow. He's very comfortable in this like 18, 20-foot intermediate elbow area, and he's just been a sick shooter all around. Kind of end shot clock here. We see him very quickly gather and organize here. Wide, explosive 1-2. And how high he gets on the jumps definitely helps at times. And we can see on these like step backs when he doesn't always get as high. Sometimes he's limited. Deuce here gonna run, hit a pull-up mid-range to basically beat the halftime buzzer there. He is becoming a pretty awesome pull-up shot maker, especially from the mid-range, which is a great counter to have. And yeah, in transition on the catch, he's been a phenomenal shooter as well. He's taken a ton of threes in games. Like he's having like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 3-point attempts games. And defenses are like paying attention to and respecting Deuce, because you have to at this point, given the way that he's shooting the ball. And one more time, when defenses close out hard, he can hit a little step back and cook them that way, right? Like Moses Moody, good hard closeout, takes the open side here, hard jab step back, the high release again we see, and that is a beautiful cash money 3 right there. The shooting has been a very, very nice addition to this Knicks team that really did need it. And he can shoot off movement as well a little bit, takes the handoff. The form and the release is generally really, really nice. And Deuce has shown some good stuff as a driver as well. He isn't like the most potent creator by any means, but especially against weaker defenders, he can and against backup point guards and weaker defenders, he can really shake people with that pace and the handle and the like explosion that he uses on defense, hanging in the air, finishing with length. As I mentioned, the length has always been a huge advantage for him. And Monty Williams, that is all Pistons fans always end. I've probably seen this play where he throws it off of Malachi's back, who is missing, and just gets a wide open layup. Like, only the Pistons let this happen, right? But it's really just a fun play from Deuce, who is, point being, making stuff happen right now. And we again see the patience and the pace. This is once again horrible defense, and I don't mean to be shitting on the Pistons in this video so much. Sorry, Pistons. But he doesn't go right away, right? He takes a little bounce here to kind of really let this guy run into the screen, because otherwise Mitsu or Fournier might be able to slide down a little bit easier, but because of that little bounce, he just has a free runway. And the help defense is also absolutely terrible there, which, you know, Knicks effect. Against Cam Thomas, easy blow by, and he really does like eat alive these like smaller guards, like bench type guards who aren't great defenders, and that is like usually who's guarding him, because like people will be guarding Brunson or DiVincenzo, right, or even Josh Hart. So like he gets these easier matchups, and he's been absolutely cooking them, which really does help take a team over the top, right? If you have a fifth offensive guy who you can't hide like your smallest player on, that's a huge advantage. And I see more handling greatness here, right? Jordan Nwora tries to hard hedge, but he splits with a beautiful in between the legs. I love this throw forward dribble as well. And he ends up getting blocked here. And like the floater, he's not really a floater guy. He's never been super comfortable with floaters. Even going back to college, he's definitely more comfortable like taking a pull, like a hop step mid range or a step back. And he's like gonna have some issues with finishing given his size, but he's overall been a good finish this year. I think he's like 65-ish%, which is pretty good for a small guard. Blows by one of the best guard defenders in the league, and Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Again, we see him like lull to sleep, set up the ball screen middle, reject baseline, KCP bites, and Deuce McBride is going to take him all the way to the basket. His passing is like, he's not really a playmaker. He can make like solid extra passes and stuff off of the drive and like swings, and there's some like basic pick and roll stuff at times, but he's just like not a bad decision maker. He doesn't really turn the ball over a ton. He takes care of it, and like he's not reckless at all, which I really like about him. And so he's not providing like a ton of unique passing value, but he doesn't do stupid stuff. He doesn't recklessly turn the ball over, and he's willing to, when he gets downhill, he's not necessarily going to challenge Mo Bamba here, right? Or even like take this angle. He's just not that kind of player. Some players would take this angle and beat a honestly bad player in Mo Bamba. But Deuce is going to set his feet, hop step, pivot, look for the opening, wait for Hartenstein to cut, kick to OG for the wide open three. It's very patient. It's very smart. And that's like great for a rotation guard. Deuce doesn't need to be your crazy on-ball creator, brilliant passer. And at the end here, I just wanted to throw in some clips of Deuce in college because I loved him so much. And he showed this kind of pull-up shot making in college. Like this was what he did. And part of why I loved him, and so many other people on draft Twitter loved him as a prospect, where he could cross over and step back into pull-up jumpers over contesting defenders. He was really good at this like screen manipulation always, even going back to college, right? He's kind of setting up this middle ball screen, but is able to like step to the side and pull from, again, like deep range over a contest over. I believe that is Milwaukee Bucks AJ Green there. Shout out to AJ Green. I remember he was really good in that game. The pull-up shooting was a really dynamic element, and I think it makes him a pretty like rare archetype of like real shot-making guard with defense. And if we just plug in basic stats for like greater than 40% from three, greater than 3 attempts per game, with like a above medium defensive estimated plus minus is just kind of like an approximate, really. Like there aren't a ton of these guys. Like Conley, I think is a decent act. Like Ayo Dosunmu's been great this year. Sam Merrill's been great this year. Drew is always like a souped up version. Scottie Pippen's been good this year. But Deuce is massive for the Knicks. And the fact that he's on like a 3-year, $13 million deal or whatever, it really is massive. And I think he's going to be so good and seamless in the playoffs, assuming he can shoot like this, which he always has, right? Because he's going to be a great defensive presence. He can lock down your, opposing point guard who's not even like necessarily a star. Off-ball defense is always great. And he can like play with or without the ball, right? He's shown that he can be a pull-up shot maker, especially when Brunson's off the floor and with Randall injured and stuff. They need his offense. They need his creation. But he can easily slot off the ball, right? Just spacing, cutting, secondary attacking, all of that. And this is just like why I love basketball, man. Seeing players we love thrive and develop and become what we thought they could become, like it's really awesome. And I'm so happy for Deuce, and this Knicks team is really, really cool.